Good evening, folks. I believe they will be starting soon. We're just getting the live stream going, and then we will hand over to Derek.
Right. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, my name is Derek Serra. I'm the long-suffering chairman of the BRA. I'd like to welcome you all here tonight. We're doing a live stream for the first time. Last time I just did the video, but this is live. So people are hopefully logged on. This is to assist people that can't make it here. A lot of people don't drive at night or they're not mobile. So to have everyone involved in this, we have the live stream. It's Sierra Productions. So the man behind the table over there is also the Bothasig Neighborhood Watchman. I'll talk about how people are involved in all different activities in the community, the same people later on. So what we normally do at these AGMs is we take care of our business as the BRA, which is basically the AGM. So I give a report on what we've done, and then we have to re-elect the committee, and then we do our speakers. We have with us tonight, however, a last-minute entry to the night on our agenda, Mr. Son. He's the Bothasig High School principal. So I asked him yesterday to join us, and he agreed. He's got other obligations later on, so we're going to start off with Mr. Son just giving us a bit of a background to the school, what it's been doing, because, I mean, obviously this was a big thing, having a new school open in the area. So we're going to give him an opportunity now, right at the beginning, to have his say. You can ask a couple of questions, and then we'll proceed with our normal agenda for the night. So this is Mr. Son.
Thank you, Mr. Sierra, Derek. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, community of Bothasig. It's indeed a privilege for me to meet you tonight. And it's an honor to be invited, although a short notice. And it's always good to speak to the community, because I sincerely believe that a school is part of a community, because it's situated within the community. And we as school, that's why I brought my two HODs with me, Miss Son, my daughter, and Miss Dumas. So they will assist me if there's complicated questions that I can't answer. So I'm Mr. Son, and I'm what they call a curator principal, which means that I opened the school. They asked the WCED, which is the Western Cape Education Department, they asked me to open the school because I'm retired, so I'm over 60 years old, and I was principal before for the past 20 years. I've been a principal, I've been teaching for 38 years. So just a little bit of background, and I'm presenting the school here tonight, not the WCED. So just a little bit of background of what is happening in the Western Cape. I think that you know about this, and it's all over the news, that we have an overflow of learners in the Western Cape, which is, I can't say uncontrollable, which I think as education system, and I can't speak on behalf of the authorities, but there's an influx of learners, and we heard that over the news. Now, currently, the challenge is to put learners into schools. So the mandate of the education department is to accommodate learners to be in schools. They can't be on the road, they can't be in the streets. And so where they find designated zones, plots, which is for education, they will use it for education. Doesn't matter where that plot is. And what process they follow, they follow. So what happened was at the beginning of this year, and I think last December, they said that there is a designated plot in Bothasig, and we want a Bothasig High School. And there's learners from the vicinity, because of this area specifically, that had such a huge of influx of people, new buildings coming out, we need an educational facility. There was no building erected at all, but we had learners because we needed to accommodate these learners. And we had a partnership with Bosmansdam High, and we said, okay, the WCD will fund Bosmansdam High to build, not to build, to renovate 5 classrooms at their facility. And the governing body, the parents of Bosmansdam, agreed to that. So at that time, for the first 3 months, we were situated only with grade 8s, which were about, I think, 200 learners at that time, which were accommodated at Bosmansdam High. And they started building the school in Oliphant Road, which is what they call a pop-up school, to accommodate us there, because that earth is designated for education and for a school building. So the purpose of the school was then for unplaced learners. So people did not enroll, they did not apply to the school because the school didn't exist last year. So we had to accommodate unplaced learners, which means it's learners from all over the show. When we moved over in the 1st of April, we accommodated a grade 9 class. So you must know now that we have unplaced learners grade 8s, and now in April you need to accommodate a grade 9 class. Some of the learners haven't been in a school, and we as a school needed to accommodate them. We started a grade 9 class because the learners can't be on the streets. Now, because it's unplaced learners, these learners, most learners doesn't come from Bothasig itself, or Edgemead, or some Brooklyn, Milnerton, but they're from Mitchells Plain, Khayelitsha. There's learners that come from Atlantis. There's learners that come from Langa. There's learners that come from Nyanga. They travel all over the show. There's learners that start walking in the morning from 4 o'clock in the morning. They walk to school just to get into school. Learners come late, and we have a diverse population of learners at the school. And we now, as a staff, need to try and build this uniform ethos of a school to say, well, you're in a school and you need to be proud of the school. And now they come into this community, which is difficult, especially in the area that the school is situated in. And there's this buzz of 250 learners coming in, and now we need to accommodate this, and we need to deal with this. From my side, it is a collective effort to educate these learners, because that is what they need. They need to be disciplined. They need to be educated by everybody, by you, by me. I can do it in the school premises. That is my job. My job is to manage teaching and learning. That's my job. What they do outside the school is the work of the community or the police. That's their job. But I can't say that the behavior of learners outside the school won't reflect on the school. It will have a bad image of the school, but it's not the school itself. So I had a discussion with Ms. Carstens, which I had an excellent relationship with, and that's why also Derek and Tony, we co-opted them on the SGB, because let's have a partnership with Bothasig Residents. And I told Ms. Carstens in January already, remember now, this school is in your community. Do something about the school. Own the school. Take charge of the school, because the school will only belong to you if you take ownership of that school, instead of complaining and blaming and looking for all kinds of negative things about the school. Now you have a school in your community, so do something about it. So next year, probably, as I looked, there was about 600 applications for grade 8, and we chose about 230, but from the vicinity now. So the intake will be better. So it's not unplaced anymore. We place them now because it's applications. But I can't, I'm not responsible for a parent who chooses to enroll his child in Paul Boys or in Somerset West. He lives in Bothasig, but he wants his child to go in a Wynberg Boys. That's the choice of the parent. Neither do I have a choice. If a child from Montevista, for that instance, or Bellville or Goodwood, enroll a child at Edgemont, that's a parent's choice. And if the admission policy of that specific school allows that learner to be enrolled at the school, that is it. We are educational institutions. I can only educate a child when he enters that school premises. It is the responsibility of the parents to take charge of the education of their children, to bring up of their children, which I can't take responsibility of. Although I say that, I also state that it is a collective partnership between you and me and our school to see that what we get into our area, we educate them, we discipline them, whatever we do, projects, approach these learners, speak to them, doesn't matter what we do. We educate them to become decent citizens and good citizens of South Africa and respect this area that they attend school in. So I can speak about our vision, what we do at the school. Just an example, we took these learners and we had a rugby team. We beat Edgemont High. They never practice because they don't have sports facilities. We beat Camps Bay High. We beat a lot of schools on a rugby field. Shows the potential of these. They're only children. They're between 13 and 16 years old. So they will do things that we don't like as adults sometimes because they're children. That's normal things for them to do. And in these years that they're mischievous, so they want to do things that you don't expect them to do. But it's we as adults need to stand together to raise them, to say this is not on. So I can speak about the vision that we have the mission that we have, where we are heading, the school ethos, our results, etc., but I'm not going to bore you with that. So from my side, the only thing that I beg you to do is to come and speak to me. We in Olifant Street, if you have suggestions, please come and speak to me. Come and get to know these learners there. You see them in the street, stop them, speak to them, ask them, why do you behave like this? Speak to them. It's all of our jobs to educate our children. If we want a better South Africa, we really need to take hands and educate our children so that they can be better citizens for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Son. Yeah, before we take a few questions, just from the BRA side, yeah, we got involved very early. I think Tony and myself were the first people to come, and their staff room was the Braai room at Bosmansdam High School, in the sports section there. And it was exciting to see the school being built. It has issues, no power and electricity yet, no power and water yet. So they're still not connected to the power and water from the city of Cape Town. We've gone to great lengths to try to facilitate that, but still no luck. So they run a generator, and they have pumpable toilets that get pumped once or twice a week. We have also got involved with trying to upgrade the facility, because the children just play on a sort of a dust patch there on the one side. So Baldwin Estates are still live, are they, Diane? Baldwin Estates have money set aside to convert, to put some grass down, but that money, I don't know how far it's going to go. But until there's actually electricity and water, it's pointless trying to put grass down. So there will be some type of an upgrade there. I must say, I popped into the school. I just happened to pop in one day, and that was the cultural day. And I wished I brought my camera with, because the kids were dressed up in all these amazing outfits. And it struck me then how diverse the group is that are there. And just like any school, I'm actually a former school teacher. I was a high school teacher for 2 years. Just like any school, you'll have 95% of the children are ordinary children that aren't really very troublesome, and then you'll have the group that are troublesome, and they tend to make trouble that's equal to 50% of the children. So I know that Facebook is full of complaints, and whenever something bad happens, it must always, for some reason, be a Bothasig high school child that did it. This color uniform is quite common, unfortunately, so often it might not be a child from the high school. But we do stay on top of it. We have engaged with the school about noise in the area around Olifant Street, children hanging on corners and stuff like that. So they have security guards that go out in the morning and try and get the kids into the school grounds. It was a shock, obviously, for residents who lived in a quiet back street to suddenly have this whole school thrust upon them. There was no public participation. There were no questions asked. We just heard the school's coming. In fact, the school, as some of you might have followed it, was a mystery. We went searching and found the school operating on the wing of Bosmasdam. So, yeah, it was a surprise to all of us. But they're here now, and they are part of the community. And as you've heard from the principal, the new intake, how many students next year? 500 and 600, because now they've enlarged the school further. They built it on a new section. So the new intake of children are more from our area than were unplaced learners as before. So now you're going to have a dilution of those students that were just from all over, and it's going to become more and more a Bothasig high school with more children coming from the area. The school fees, are they still staying at the 5,000 Rand a year? Very affordable school fees. So, yeah, they had an oversubscription of applications, which is good news. So, has anybody got any questions for Mr. Son? Yeah.
Community members, it's important that what I said about owning the school, because this is a new school, and you can decide as a community what kind of school it must be. It can be focusing on a technical school, it can be an agricultural school, it can be any kind of school. But you can't sit back and say, I wish that was an agricultural school. You need to do something about it and say, well, this is what we want. It can be a business school, it can be a science school, it can be a computer school, it can be any kind of school. So it is in your hands to make that decision, not our hands. I will listen, we'll set up meetings, HGB will decide, we'll write to the department and say, this is what we want. And I'm sure they will agree with you, this is the road we will take. But you need to take ownership of a school, because it's part of this community.
Thank you. Okay, have we got any questions? Where's that roving mic? Oh, okay.
The traffic is a major issue, problem that we have. And myself and the councillor, okay, is a new councillor now, we discussed it at length. And at the moment, the plans, the last plan that she had in mind was that there's a drop-off area. I think in a checker somewhere, and then we bus the learners in. But I think that we need to think that thoroughly through before next year. and see maybe how we and the city can take hands to sort that problem out. But that is an issue we need to address.
And Mr. Salt, couldn't they use the church parking? You know, that parents could go in the church parking and drop off the kids and go out the other side? Because then it's still on the road, not even because those taxis block the road.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, okay, let's get one in the front. Yeah, I think we must do the roving mic. He's going to come round. 5 questions. Because we must continue. Right over here. It's Maureen.
Mr. Son, I've seen the plans, the previous plans for the school, and how it was designated as a school. Now, what I'd like to know, you've got a pop-up school. You do intend creating a bigger school. Will that pop-up school, you know, which is made up of, well, pieces of, what do you call it, prefab, will that fall away and the new school be built closer to the Plattekloof turnoff?
My only response to that can be is that the whole earth belongs to education, to its public works. So when they decide, they said that there will be a brick and mortar school on that side, near to Plattekloof Road. Is it Plattekloof?
Plattekloof, yeah.
Plattekloof Road. I always get confused with Plattekloof because that is on Table Mountain. So I can't say the promise, and I can't speak on behalf of the department, but they envisage to have a brick and mortar school nearer to Plattekloof Road.
What my question is, Mr. Son, is if that happens, will the pop-up school disappear, or is that going to remain?
No. That's not actually, they call it a mobile school. So, which means that they're mobile. So if we don't use it, it moves to other school. So they just remove the school.
No,
that buildings.
The reason I ask, because as the lady, the speaker, the person who asked the question before, I live very close by, and taxis have no respect for anyone. They park in the middle of the road as school has been let out. And I feel sorry for these children because they are not allowed to stay behind the wire or the fence. They wander out. And this creates an enormous problem because there's a lot of littering that goes on. They're sitting on the side of the roads, and they are small children. They need to be, yes. So it's sad when one sees that they have no place to go to. They've just got to wait. And I've seen children waiting for, very long, for hours at an end. And that's just not acceptable. So these children can be targeted for grooming, and that is something that we need to also look at in the future, because I do see people stopping and talking to them, and it worries me when I see this happening. And I remember one evening coming past in my CPF uniform and watching them and being aware that a fight was developing between some of the students, and I stopped them. And they immediately stopped. But the problem is, there is a problem with fighting breaking out, and the police were called earlier this week as well, which I'm sure you're aware of. Thank you, Mr. Son.
Hi there. With all due respect, I understand the school has absolutely no control over where it was placed, and I care less if learners come all the way from London, whatever. To me, the school was necessary, although it could have gone to Ridgewood, but that's another story. The problem with the traffic at the moment, you cannot say the community must manage that. The school is responsible for those learners, and if it's the Western Cape Education Department that needs to play a role in that, then so be it, but discipline also needs to happen from within the school grounds. And I'm sorry to say, I was involved with complaining, and Derek may recognize the name that's starting to be ignored on Facebook. I engaged with the Western Cape Education Department and the project planners around the problems that were going to happen if we didn't manage parking for parents. And please, let's just say one thing, it's not just the taxis, it's the parents of the kids who park a meter away from the curb, who insist on dropping the kids off in the middle of the road and then wait until they get saunter out of the thing in. I've almost connected with 2 kids this last week. I live in Cook Street, so I come out of that section twice a day. And because I got to fetch my kid from Edgemead High, I'm almost always out at the same time. And that road for the last 2 days, you couldn't go down because there were cars on both sides of the road. Something has to be done, and it sits at the council side, but what the Western Education Department said under the old minister, oh sorry, it's not our problem anymore. The school's there, hands off. It's not the Education Department's problem, it's the municipality's problem. Municipality planner said, well, we don't care, the school's there now. So we mustn't sit and put sunshine and roses about the school. Nobody has actually bothered with any planning around this. I can show you the emails that were sent explaining the bottlenecks that we're going to be creating, because there's only there's only 2 entrances into that area. We cannot let this get out of control and say it's the community's thing to solve. What can we do? The municipality didn't listen to us, the Western Education Department didn't listen to us, and we effectively get told, you know what, live with it. And I said to them, 2023, 2024, as that school...
Yes, I saw can I jump in quickly? So I saw the emails. He was very thorough with his descriptions of the potential problems. I think what happened was that the department was in an urgent situation. They had a lot of unplaced learners. They had to come up, by law, they have to provide spots for the learners. And it was a designated space. They owned the land. They didn't have to, because it's a mobile school, they didn't have to do any public participation or any impact study. And so under that pressure, they built the school. We all raised concerns about the issue with the traffic, but it was sidelined. At the moment now, the school's there, so now it will befall the traffic department, the traffic services, to come there and control the traffic, because that's their job. Now, I'm going to talk about this a bit later, but we need to really get the traffic services people here, because, I mean, even the opening of Food Lovers was a pathetic example of a failure of traffic services.
We're not worrying about Food Lovers.
So we've got a problem in this area with traffic services not doing their job. And that's an area, there have been complaints made to them about that, and they don't come there. They basically should be coming there every day for a month and controlling that whole situation there. We as private individuals, I can't go there, Mr. Son can't go out into the street and chase the taxi. Traffic services, they are the legislated authority.
Sorry, let's not focus on the taxis. I said it's the parents as well.
Well, anyone,
and
parents,
at
taxis.
High, the principal sends a letter out to the parents telling them when there's complaints.
But you have made efforts like that.
Yeah. We had numerous discussions about this traffic issue. It's like your concern is our concern. What we decided upon with the SGB was that all taxis we moved our cars to the one side and they come into the school premises and pick up their learners and come around there and go out again. We even asked the parents to park inside the school, not outside. So I can't force a parent to do that. So that was the first plan we had. So we had people, we have gate duty, we have 2 securities at the back. I asked the police to patrol. So there's plans in place. But do these parents listen to what we ask them? That's another question. So the question will be, how will we force them to do what we ask them to do? You can even ask them now to park at the church, right? Say, park at the church, wait for your learners there. The question still will be, will they do that, and how will we enforce that?
At Tafelberg School, they put inlays into those roads when they put the school there. You've put plants in front there. What we're saying is, nobody wants to take responsibility other than a lot of talk. And what I'm hearing here is politics, okay? We need to see solutions actually happening. When you talk about traffic services, by the way, there's 3 vans that sit in that cul-de-sac that monitor Plattekloof Road. 3 vans monitoring 2 cameras. At the same time that the schools come out, not one of those cops is paying attention to what happens down the road.
So that's what I was saying. That's the problem. That if they would come down there and they have the authority to say, listen, move your car or I'm going to give you a ticket.
Derek, this needs to be more than a
Yes,
single
we can't-
department solution. This needs the council, and I mean, Ms. Carstens also just threw her hands up in there eventually. This needs to be a multifaceted solution where everybody sits together and gets a
Okay, so
solution.
look, we'll-
Not making it that department's responsibility, and I wash my hands of it.
Okay, right. So we've noted that, and we know that there's a problem. Okay. Any other? Well, one last question that we can move on with the proceedings. Then we give you the.
First of all, thank you, Mr. Son. I know educating and starting a pop-up school is one of the most challenging things to do in education. I have two concerns. To me personally, it's unacceptable that you do not have water and electricity yet. So yes, parking is an absolute nightmare, traffic is an absolute nightmare, but we need to see this in a holistic approach. We as the community and the role players, and I'm very glad to see our councillor tonight, we need to actually all join together as a multifaceted and solve this problem. Even looking at things as using your learners through a thorough training to be scholar patrol. We've got to become proactive. The time of being reactive is over. It's there, so we've got to be proactive. Something that's also very important to me, that children just don't go to school to sit in a classroom. A school is far more than a classroom. It's belonging to clubs and societies and playing extramural things. So what I'd like to ask, if we ever could have a meeting and where you and your staff could, people in the community that will come in, be coaches, like Derek's come in with the photography, where we can start really treating them like all children in our country should be treated. I thank you.
Last comment.
Last comment. I really do appreciate what you say. Like I said, most of these learners come from impoverished, informal settlements, and they need a lot of guidance. And even their parents need guidance. So it's not an easy job. You can look at how our province, how our country looks like because of poverty. So we can complain, we can moan, we can blame, we can do all those things. It's easy to complain. I can complain now. I mean, Bothasig is such a huge town. Why is there only 40 people here? I can complain. And I can say a lot of things about this areas, but why must I complain? I don't want to complain. One incident happened the morning I went down. I don't know what's the street name when you get out of the gate? Mill Street. I went down there. It was about 7 o'clock in the morning. And at the second corner there, some of the residents came out. And I spoke to them. I said to the security, you stand here, so that you can look that nothing serious happened to whatever these learners are doing. And we had a good conversation with these community members. And I asked them, please, I beg you, come to my office. Let me just sit down and discuss how we can deal with these learners roaming around when they're not supposed to roam around. Because I can't control. As soon as that bell goes, I must be in a classroom. I need to see that teaching and learning is happening. That's my main function. So let us see what we can do, even with the traffic situation. If we can say, listen here, this is what we're going to do as whatever group we establish, and then we just do it. Don't say we're going to do something and now I've complained. Oh, I can relax, I already complained, so it's fine. Let's just do something. The school is here to stay. You can do nothing about that. So we need to take that school, like I said previously, whatever issues we have, we need to sit down, and I open up my doors. You can come anytime you wish to come when I'm there. We can chat. We can say, this is the solution. Let's take that piece of land on that side, make a parking. Let's do that. And we do that, if that is the solution to our problem. But we need to do it. So from my side, thank you very much for your patience with us. It must be extremely frustrating for you to have a new school there and all these problems coming up for you. So thank you for that. I do appreciate that you're at least a little bit tolerant with us. And I ask for more tolerance. And let us just join hands and try to do the best for these kids. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Son. Okay, so we're going to let Mr. Son go now to his next meeting. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to... Thank you, ladies. Right, now we can get on with the business of the day. So, what I'd like to do is just quickly go through the sort of annual report of the BRA. We have been trying over the last couple of years to keep people informed. We have a Facebook page, which has increased in popularity over the years. We get many thousands of views a month. We share to the different community Facebook groups. I share to the WhatsApp groups. I don't know what more we can do, but even with the by-election, some say they didn't know there's a by-election happening. So it's, and as the principal mentioned, and I'll raise this a bit later, but we have 17,000 people living in Bothasig. And this is considered a good turnout. If I go down to Reachwood, to their AGM, 10 people. 10 people, 8 people, it's you know. When I complained about the turnout at the by-election of 26% and said it was pathetic, I'm a vicious bully. I must never remind people of that fact that they never turned out to vote. So I don't know anymore. I'm becoming despondent as a person. I've spoken to some people in the audience about it, because I put in at least an hour to a day of my spare time into this job. And all I get is personal attacks, threatening phone calls and emails and that type of thing. But we'll discuss that later. So what have we achieved in the last year? Roosevelt Park wall murals were completed, and we're planning to start the Picnic in the Park project from this summer. So at the Krendel and at Rooseboom. Rooseboom is actually a very nice park. It's got nice trees where you can have picnics under. So the plan is to have some community events. And then the Easter hunt will come again, which was a very popular turnout at the last one that the Neighbourhood Watch collaborated with us on. So that's going to happen this summer. As you know, we had the by-election. From our side, I did an interview with Ward Councillor, now Ward Councillor, and our other Corin Verskeur from the ACBP, the other candidate, which I'm hoping was informative for residents to hear them chatting and answering questions and giving their side of things. But as I mentioned, we did everything we could to get a turnout, but it was disappointing. Food Lovers Market, we were quite involved right from the outset. You've all seen the wall mural on the barrier wall. Debs Mulholland sitting over here. She led our group of artists, five of them. They were actually commissioned by Food Lovers Market and paid for their work. And they did a fantastic wall mural, which has now improved the look of Bothasig as you come down the bridge, rather than that sad-looking old wall and that uncut grass. And from that, they gave us a donation towards the Soup for Seniors project that we run, and also towards the 2 school feeding schemes that we're involved with. So I spent my morning at the opening of Food Lovers shopping for various charities. We also arranged, Clinton America can't be here tonight, I think he's watching on the live feed. He called me up and asked, what about organizing an early entrance for the old pensioners, because it's going to be a mad rush there on the morning. So we engaged with the management of Food Lovers, and they agreed to that earlier opening. So Johanna was down there with busloads of her people. We took some of our Soup for Seniors people, and on the night before the opening, we were given a donation from MTN of 5,000 Rand through the Bothasig can. another charity working in the area. So that allowed us to spoil our people with lamb chops and chicken and boerewors and stuff which the pensioners seldom can afford to buy. So we had a very successful and exciting morning there. It was really great, and it was a historical moment for Bothasig when you think about it. That old bedraggled super plants that we looked at all the years, you know, who would have thought we would then have a flagship store of one of the biggest retailers in the country? So now you can literally almost walk between Checkers, Spar and Food Lovers. It's a shopper's paradise, and we've all now had massive advantages from 20 Rand pockets of potatoes and pork at 29.99 and free coffee. Who knew we would be getting all this before Christmas? Anyway, Food Lovers, yeah, they have shown that they're quite wanting to be involved in the community. So we look forward to an ongoing relationship with them. Yeah, Soup for Seniors, as you know, we've been running it for several years now. We get donations from local residents, businesses and charities. We get support from Bothasig Can, Salem Full Gospel Church, from locals helping locals, and then of course lots of private residents. Some days I just get a phone call, are you home? Someone's dropping off 500 rands worth of soup meat or whatever. Don't want to be mentioned by name. So these are the times that make it worth it for me, because as much as I get depressed about the lack of involvement by the majority of people in the community, you always have those bright days when you think, okay, well, and the old people are very close to our hearts. So, you know, when you go and give people a parcel of what's expensive food to them, and they cry, I get emotional about it. Okay, so, yeah, another thing about giving soup to these seniors is not just giving soup and meals to them. We actually give them companionship, you know. Glenda Marais and Alison Welsh, many of you might know them, they cook the food now, and they take it down there, and they have tea with the old ladies and the old gentlemen, and so they've become an extended family to us and a support network, because many of them don't have family or family in the country. So it's not just dump some soup and move on. It's actually, we can't let go of them. So regardless of what happens, the Soup for Seniors is going to be there to stay. Yeah, as we were mentioning, we got involved with the Bothasig High School at an early stage, because obviously we wanted to know what was going on. I've been co-opted onto the school governing body, so I sit in on meetings, I get an insight into what's going on, what's happening, what the plans are, and I have been involved. I've tried from our side to facilitate and speed up this process with the connection of the electricity and the water. It seemed to be going well. I got calls from the MEC for Education's office, people from ESCOM, senior managers calling, and it seemed, but that was weeks ago, still nothing. So, you know, this is the problem, that unfortunately, if people don't deliver the service, what are you going to do? You have to write another letter, make another phone call, and it's, yeah, it's a bit soul-destroying sometimes. And then, as I mentioned before, my concerns going forward, I only have 6 months left in this job, and then my 2-year tenure is ended as the chairperson. Our constitution doesn't allow us to have a chairperson for longer than 2 years. So the search is now on for a new chairman. I put out a call on all the social media to get additional committee members or people interested in joining our committee. At the moment, we have 8 people on the committee, and tonight, 2 of them are standing down. I never got one response, not one expression of interest from anybody in the community wishing to join us. So essentially, 8 people are doing the work for 17,000 people. And I have a family. My wife wants to have a baby next year. I'm a newlywed. So I have to, at some point, move away from this work. I will always do Soup for Seniors. It was something that I started with my mother and my wife. We used to peel all the vegetables, and I used to cook the soup and take it down there during COVID. So I'm not going to step away from that. But as the chairman, I can't, beyond April next year. It was supposed to be tonight, but there's no one. So I'll carry on, but we have to find somebody to step in and to take over the reins as the chairman. Many of our committee members have so many other obligations. When I took over as chairman, I was semi-retired and I had time. Graham Kaplan, who's sitting over there, hiding away, when we came back from traveling for the world for a couple of years, we moved back to Bothasig to look after my old parents. He said, "Oh well, you used to be in the film business and stuff. Why don't you join?" And I joined the BRA. I got co-opted onto the committee, so I had time to do these things, and I didn't know I'd become so deeply involved in all these projects and all this stuff. But I mean, it's every day it's something, Somebody's house catches fire, they phone me, "Can you phone the fire brigade and report this house is on fire?" It's like crazy. Other days, "Why aren't you mowing the lawn at the clinic? Why don't you do your job?" I keep on saying, "I'm not the councillor." So, and I think my relationship with the former councillor is well known, not a good one. So I'm very happy that we now have a new ward councillor. I'm not going to pretend I'm not. And I was involved quite closely right from the outset with Miquette when she first came here with James Foss when there was a sort of a vacuum after the resignation of the former councillor. And so we've been fortunate that we met each other under different circumstances. And I think that we are in better hands than we were before. So I know it's not popular for me to be so. I'm a very straightforward person. I call a spade a spade. That's my opinion. But I think that we're going to be able to make headway now. But my major concern is the lack of involvement by the majority of the community in improving the situation in Bothasig. I grew up in Bothasig. As a boy, I played around. I mean, this hall, we used to pay 50 cents on a Friday night and have a double feature, and Johnny Soccer and his flying robot, and I Dream of Genie and all those supporting programs. We sat here and we watched movies here. So I have very fond memories of being part of a very close-knit community. People would knock on the door, can you lend me a cup of sugar or whatever, And that's how I remember Bothasig. And when I moved back here, I think I wish that it would be like that again. So a lot of the stuff that we've been doing since I got involved in the BRA is very much to kind of try and bring back that kind of community spirit. And it does exist, but there's a lot of people that are not interested. It doesn't matter what you say or do. If you dare remind them of their lack of interest, then they're annoyed with you. But if you want your community to be better, like people complain, "Why does Monte Vista have such a nice park?" And Monte Vista, they always go on about Monte Vista has a very, very strong ratepayers association that's been in existence for 50 odd years, supported by, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of residents. If they need to raise money for something, they put out a call and they've raised 20,000 rand. That's how they do it there. So that's why it looks so great. That park looks so amazing. I mean, a lot of that's privately raised money that they've put into that amazing park. So if we want to emulate Monte Vista, we have to get more community members involved in our community. We live here. This is our home. It can't be left to the authorities or this one or that one. If all the people that complained and moaned and spent so many hours on Facebook attacking each other would take that time and put it into some kind of a positive action, then the place would already be better, We're very lucky, though. We don't live in a terrible place. Because other people say, "Oh, Buddhists have gone downhill, gone to the dogs." We have so now with the building of Food Lovers, we have probably, I think our property values will rise over the next year or so. I get calls every week, "Don't I want to sell my house?" There's a shortage of houses for people want to live in Bothasig. It's a desirable area to live in. You've got several schools, you've got all the supermarkets, you can walk from place to place. So it's not a doom and gloom here, but I think we all long for more connection. And so doing like the painting of the wall murals was to make the parks more attractive so that people would be more inclined to go to the parks and spend time together in the parks. I used to play in the park every day. We had to be home before the lights went on. And I can say that at De Grendel there's been a lot more activity. Also the hoop attracts the children. We're just waiting for the hoop to be installed at the library park, the missing hoop. So they put, sorry? Hey, yeah, you're right. And we'd like to put hoops into we've discussed this before, we'd like to try and put hoops into more parks because that seems to attract children. So yeah, the idea is to get kids out and about and also socializing with each other, not sitting in front of TVs and phones. So yeah, that's basically it from me. So I'm here for a couple more months if my wife doesn't force me to leave earlier. So Graham Kaplan is going to be stepping down. You are still, eh? Yeah, he's been with the BRA for how many years? 10 years. That's a very long time to have been on the committee of the BRA. Some people join the BRA and then realize sometimes within 2 or 3 hours, they join from the floor. By the time we're leaving, they say, "No, I changed my mind. I'm not in anymore." It's as a normal committee member, it's not so bad because committee members only have specific things to do. But I'm not going to lie, it's no walk in the park being the chairman. And I have a lot of respect for our former chairmans. How long didn't we have a residents association here? 17 years or something. There was a time when the Ratepayers Association failed. There was no interest and it just disappeared. And it was Clive Owen, they restarted it. So this Residents Association is the latest version. If the BRA doesn't get support from the community, it will again fail. And then people will be left without representation. We are the official body, the official representatives of the residents of Bothasig. We are registered with the sub-council as the official representative of the residents here. And so we have the ability to speak on behalf of residents. I write a letter to whoever it is, and I say, on behalf of the residents of Bothasig, who are 17,000 strong, I'm insisting that you do this, that, or the other thing. If we don't succeed and we can't get enough people to join the committee and we don't have a quorum and we can't operate and we disintegrate, then residents are left again without this representation. So I'm making a plea from my side for more involvement, and it doesn't have to be, "Oh, I'm going to come there every day and help you." We have people here, this man sitting in the front, Diane over here, he has a very responsible working job, but they find time to do the things that are required. So, yeah, we got a live stream, don't know how many people on it, but I'm asking people, please don't let us fail. Please help us and support us. We need a committee of 8 to 10 people in order to be able to actually have a quorum, vote, elect, do things, make decisions. And we're in danger of losing that. So that's all that's it from me. Yes, sorry.
These 2 vehicles is blocking the driveway for the people with the caretaker.
What is that? CAA 227. What car is that?
That is a
Kia. Oh, my eyes are going. I'm getting old now. So it's a Kia, white Kia, CAA 227798. And a Polo, CAA. You can sneak out. We're not going to look who you are. Polo, CAA 417617. I think the people who look after the caretakers are blocked. Yeah, they must get out this side or something. The 2 cars are blocking their way. Can you please just shift sideways for them? Is it your car, Debs? Kia and a Polo. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so does anybody have any questions for me before we move on to the next part of the proceedings? Questions? Any? I must apologize. I'm not, for some reason, not in a very good mood today. There's no particular reason, but yeah, where's the roving mic? Oh, here we go. Okay.
Hi, my name is Mario. I'm an owner here for 16 years. I think, my name is Mario. I'm an owner here for 16 years. I think with the residents and joining the association, sometimes something simple as just telling them what the portfolios entails. Something simple as that. Then sometimes some people think maybe it's a bit complicated. Maybe they can't, do the work. So sometimes on the BRA, if you can just advertise the actual portfolio, this is what you physically do. And they'll say, hey, but that's quite simple. Let me go and apply. Also, like I was trying to get the Constitution. I think I messaged someone, they said you can go to the library. I couldn't find it. I then mailed to the BRA. I don't know where I got. There was like a Gmail account. And I asked, may I get the Constitution? I couldn't find it. So yeah.
The Bothasig Library.
Yeah, I asked them. I went there twice, and I don't think they know. They took out like brown envelopes, and they said, somewhere, okay, I said, give it to me, let me look. And I still about an hour checking and couldn't find it,
Yeah, the Constitution has been lodged, before my time, at the library somewhere. But they probably moved it around, and they don't know where it is.
Yeah.
Eh? Yeah.
Could we perhaps get a copy? Yeah, thanks. Okay.
Yes, I can tell you now that we're looking for a secretary and a treasurer. Yes, there you go.
I've got some skills in project management in a lot of things, so I'd like to nominate myself.
Okay. Mario. Yes, we've had chats. Yes, okay. Yeah. Yes. Eyes on the ground. Yeah.
Not bad. People say Bert's is going down. It's not going down because you can actually see all the renovations. And an interesting fact, Bert's is one of the few areas during COVID whose property still went up. The value of the property. So that says a lot. So it means the residential,
yes.
It's quite strong.
No, for sure.
So I don't understand when people say Bert's is going down because, like I say, I run at least five days a week. And I see what's happening. I always check, okay, you're renovating here, what's it looking like, So I'd say over the last 10 years, there's actually a change in Bothasig, a good positive change compared to when I bought. They had lots of stigmas and, funny names and all that, So, but it's
no, for sure. I mean, I think for some reason there's a group of very negative people with very loud voices. So they give the impression that it's bad. But I mean, Bothasig, as I say, if you look at the property value, it's going up. I mean, even the regional houses, the prefabricated houses, people are getting 1.8 million.
And like I say, everyone's like 3-4 times a month. You get people asking you
calling,
to sell.
Can we value your house?
Can you value your house here? It sells very quickly.
Something that I've also thought about is that there's a lot of regional houses with quite elderly people living in them.
Yeah.
And one thing I was thinking is maybe we need to try to assist them because now my mother was telling me today, one lady that she's known for also about 50 years, she's going to be moving now into some old age facility, but her house now needs to be like, she's been hoarding stuff in the house and, this type of thing. So there are some dilapidated houses which are probably because people can't afford to maintain them, but they have value. So maybe we also need to try and advise people. Maybe there are other options for them if they would, because they can sell their house at a good price. That would fund them going to stay in a facility possibly. So yeah, those are things we have to consider. Yes.
Anyone is interested in being a BRA member, what we've done before is, if you have an interest, come to a meeting. Come to a meeting, meet the rest of us, and say, hey, I'm interested in organizing the picnics in the park, or I'm interested in helping the old people, or being on the thing for the soups for seniors. It's not a whole thing. Just come with what you can do and help us, because honestly, trying to do 8 people and everybody's trying to do 10 things at once, if we could split it between 10 people, then it's not so hectic on everybody. So honestly, please, you'll see that Derek makes an appeal on the BRA Facebook page, put your name down. Let him.
We're quite
he will-
easygoing. We've been accused of being too
Yeah.
casual.
Yeah, we'll let you know when the next meeting is. Pitch up and come for the first time. If you don't like it, or you don't like me, or you don't like Derek, or you don't like whatever, you can go. No obligation. But at least come.
So we have a good laugh. we have meetings at the baseball club very often. The Bosbol Baseball Club upstairs in the restaurant there, or we have meetings at my house where we lay on snacks and coffee or whatever. But we have a fairly casual approach to things, but we believe in getting the job done. So we don't have a very stiff kind of approach. Graham?
The reason why I'm stepping down is my work commitments don't allow me. I've tried my best to fit in. I'm glad Food Lovers is here. We fought for it for our lives, Clive, myself, and other Graham. It was zoned as agriculture, and some powers that be wouldn't allow us because of trucks coming up and down. And I think if it's my legacy with Graham and Clive, that's why we do this, what we do. And painting of the wall, keeping the soccer club going. I've been doing it for many years. I've been the chairman of the soccer club for the juniors for 10 years. I've done my time. So, and let me tell you, it's not time consuming. It's actually quite nice to see when a project pays off. And my other part of my job is an insurance broker. And Bothasig is rated, I think, 4th in the Western Cape as the safest area for major crime. Okay. So your rates are pretty good on your insurance, and it's nice to know that. And I think we're very lucky that we still have a police service, even although sometimes they don't have petrol or whatever. But we're very lucky. If you go to some other areas, I'm telling you, I travel a lot, and there's a lot of poverty, a lot of crime, from a small age all the way up. A lot of gangster-ridden areas. We have the odd drug lord coming through, or Chinese selling palamun or something. But at the end of the day, it doesn't affect us from a murder point of view, etc., and those heavy crimes. But I'm not quitting because I've had enough. I'm quitting because my job is taking too much of my time. COVID took a lot out of us. I mean, I was at home for 2 years. But so I'm trying to tell people, don't be scared. You don't have to work 24 hours a day. That's his job.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thanks, Graham. Yeah, Graham's like a jet setter off to St. Helena Island and all kinds of things that we get the photos. Okay, right. So now we have to just get down to the business of the day. So we have Maureen. Are you famous in Bothasig, Maureen? Maureen is our election officer. So basically, I was elected for a 2-year term, so I'm not up. I can't be kicked out yet. But the rest of the committee are on 1-year kind of terms. So what we generally do is we ask the members of the committee if they're willing to stand again, and they tell us, like in Graham's case, he always said yes, but this time no, and we understand. So Graham is not up for re-election, and
we need 3 executive members.
yeah. So Graham was our vice chairman. So we need another vice, and we need a treasurer and a secretary. Debs has been doing those jobs. But she has a full-time job. She has her own business as an artist, and then a growing extended family. I tried to strong-arm her into becoming the chair lady, but no go. Okay, so at this stage, we don't have to worry about my job. We have to worry about the rest of the people. But now, should we not just try to, the people that are remaining, that are standing again on the committee, can we first deal with that side of it?
We've got, at the moment, we've got Derek, who is the chair. The vice chairman is stepping down. You're not getting a yellow ribbon. You know, you've done your time, but you're not getting that yellow ribbon. Then we need a treasurer, we need a secretary. We've got Diane Ishmael, who's on the committee. Jolene, may I just see if you're here tonight? Jolene, thank you. Sean Moran, Thank you. Ishmael Samsudin. Ishmael? Thank you. And Shahid? Shahid's not here.
Yes,
Is he also stepping down? Okay. So in that case, from the Deborah, yes, Deborah Mulholland.
Jodie Wilson, she's in the UK now.
Okay, all right. So Deborah, you are remaining.
I'm remaining, but I'm
Not in either of those positions, executive positions. Okay. So we've got 3 executive positions going. Now, let me explain the process. If we have more than 2 nominations for a position, we will ask the people who have been nominated to step outside, and then by a show of hands, we will decide how many votes are. Sorry, did you want to say something? Am I speaking too softly? Okay, by a show of hands, we will then decide who is the person that we're going to choose for that position. So at the moment, Derek as well, we need a vice chairman. Is there anyone here who is prepared to stand as vice chairman? This is an executive position, please. So we're starting with executive positions. Clinton? Clinton, America? Anyone from the existing membership who would like to step forward? I think somebody named Ishmael Samsudin. Would you consider standing for vice chairman? Good, we've got our first nomination. Congratulations. Taken. Great, vice chairman. Treasurer. We're looking for a treasurer. Deborah has been sharing that position at the moment. She's been... Okay, by a show of hands, please, is there anyone who is prepared to be a treasurer? Now, let me just explain. Derek just said there is very little money, which means that you don't need to be an accountant. All you need to do is to have one side saying, this is the money you've got, and this is the money that is taken out of the account. Nothing fancy, just to keep an eye on how things are being managed.
It's the same money that I got.
Sorry?
Mario.
Mario, are you prepared to stand for that job? Where's Mario? There.
Yes.
Of course. Yes. Mario, thank you very much. Would you just be making a record of everything? Okay, so we've got Mario. Now, the most important job, as far as I'm concerned, is the secretary. The secretary does everything. Any show of hands for the secretary, please? Don't be shy. It doesn't, and it, you know, it's a, you don't have to be a female to be the secretary. Anyone?
We're quite fancy now. We record our meetings, and then they use
Yes,
a program to
transcribe.
transcribe it. You don't even have
Okay.
to sit and make it.
So it's really just recording and set up the meeting, make sure it's recorded.
Send out the agendas.
Just a question if I could quickly.
Sure.
Mario said something very conclusive here earlier tonight. Why don't you advertise this? I mean,
It has been advertised extensively.
Not one person. Sometimes we get 2. But this time round, not one.
okay, I just thought I'd just interrupt.
Yeah, no.
Okay. We don't want to scare him off. Brett, would you? Brett's just put his hand up. Brett Steensma, you've put your hand up for the secretary. Would you be prepared? Thank you. You've got your secretary. Brett Steensma, thank you so much. We're very grateful. That takes care of our executive. Now we're going to be looking for additional members. And is there anyone here in the audience? Just again, please put up your hand. Now, let me explain. At the very first meeting, the executive will decide what the portfolios are going to be, because everyone's strengths and skills are different. So it may be that you have something that appeals to the executive, and they will decide this is the person that we want for this particular job, exactly as Mario said a little while ago. Is there anyone, by a show of hands, who would like to just, you know, decide to go. Thank you. And you are, ma'am? Arlene Hayden. Thank you, Arlene. Please clap for Arlene. Great. Anyone else, please? Please.
Nice donuts and buns.
Sticky buns. It is not a tedious job. It's actually quite a very satisfying job. So, you know, and yes, there is a lot of help. Nigel Ward, no? A pensioner, he's retired. Is there anyone? Just one more person, thank you. And you are, ma'am? Yasmina Shabuddin. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've got our 4 executives. Do you want to make it an extra one, Derek? Can't have more. No, there's 9. 4 plus the 4 executives.
No, but then there's existing people.
Oh yes, of course. Sorry, I forgot about the existing ones. So many of them stepping down. Thank you so much. And Derek, have you got the tea and snacks at the back? Thank you so much. Actually, just before I go, for those who were not able to take advantage of the Food Lovers specials, I'm starting a support group. Anybody want to join?
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, yeah, so we have a monthly meeting. We're accused of being too casual, but yeah, there's a lot of things that we've managed to achieve in the time that we've been involved, and we're going to continue that road. Okay, so now the main attraction of the night is our new ward councillor, who you've seen on posters all over and on TV screens. So without further ado, Miquette Temlett.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Don't know about main attraction, but there was a lady when we were still campaigning at one of the shopping centers that we did a table, and she did a double turn when she saw me, and she said, "Oh, it's you on the poster." And I said, "Yes, it's me." And she said, "You look much better in real life than on the poster." I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but yes, yeah. So I made a few notes while everyone was speaking. I have to apologize. Last week has been absolute chaos, and this week hasn't been any better. And just when the question section come, it was my birthday yesterday, so just be kind. Just just this week. Next week you can fight again. So yeah, it's been busy. I am going to council tomorrow. I'm doing 2 speeches in council. One has been written, one hasn't. So there's more work to be done this evening, burning the midnight oil. But what I want to say is what I've seen in this community in the past 2 months is the passion, the absolute passion of everyone in this community. And then I include the whole board in this. When your email inbox doesn't go under 130 emails and your WhatsApp don't go under about 82, it's because people are passionate. It's because people care. It's because they want their community to be, to look well, to be pretty, to be well maintained, and that is a good thing for me. When my colleagues ask me how is it going, and what are you okay, and so forth, then I say yes, because the complaints tell me that people care. People want it to be nice. People want to be involved, and they reach out. There's one really bad thing, and that's when people stand around the fire when they have a braai or when they have tea together, and then they complain. But those complaints never reach me. That's really bad, and that's what I don't want. So keep complaining. At the moment, we've got a 3-day turnaround time, but I'll get to them, I promise. I don't like making promises, but I will get to each and every email and every WhatsApp. There's another thing that really upset me, actually, in this week and last week, just after I got elected. I think it was about 3 people that called me, and I answered, and the person on the other side said, "Who am I speaking to?" And I said, "It's Miquette Temlett." And they said, "Oh my goodness, you are the new councillor." And I said, "Yes." And they said, "I didn't know you answered your own calls. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to bother you. I'm so sorry. I thought," and I said, "No, of course not. There are times that I'm not going to be able to answer my calls, of course. There are times that I'm not going to be able to answer my WhatsApps and my emails, because I also have a family, 3 children, 2 teenagers and a toddler. So whatever you throw, I can take it." But I do my best. I really, really try. And like I said previously, for me, communication is the most important part of this job. For anyone that is here that don't know, I've started a WhatsApp broadcast information group. The reason why it's a broadcast and not a WhatsApp group is for privacy reasons, because if you open a group, you can see everyone's details. So this is a broadcast group where I send a broadcast to all the people in the group, obviously, information, things that happen, things that I need to tell residents. And this is how I want to get information out, so that people can reply and say, "I don't know how to do this," or "I don't know how this works." It's a touch base point. It's something small, but it has already made a huge impact. So if anyone wants to be on this group, or if you know of anyone that wants to be on the group, give them my number, tell them to send me a WhatsApp with their name and surname, and I will add them to the group. And you are going to get a lot of messages, so you might want to mute me. I'm also starting a Facebook group, which will also be an information group, where I will purely post information about what I've done in the past week, what has happened in the community in the past week, and things like that. It will not be an open group. Commenting will not be possible. My contact details will be on the group, so you will be able to call me, WhatsApp me, or email me. But unfortunately, I cannot open the group due to trolls and people not, So not necessarily people from the community, sadly. Sometimes it's, So, but communication for me is very, very important, and I want it to be open. I want networks to be in the community. I've spoken to a few, like the Residents Association, neighborhood watchers, and so forth, and you are my eyes and ears. And let's on that address the white elephant in the room. I know there's been a lot of people that are concerned about the fact that I live in Melkbosstrand. Yes, I do live in Melkbosstrand. The previous ward that I took care of was Denoon, which is just here before you. And I do firmly believe that with good planning and with a good network in the community, that we can make it work. We can really make it work. When I just started working for the Democratic Alliance operationally, one of my constituencies bordered the Botswana border. A little town called Pomfret, which still has a very close to my heart. And I'm not going to go into that because I might cry. But the point is, at that point, I lived in Pretoria. my head office was in Fochville, and my constituency, and that was just one constituency, was bordering the Botswana border. The other constituency was close to Mafeking. So I'm not afraid of traveling, and I'm not afraid of doing what needs to be done. One of the things that James Force coined is the C for myself hashtag, which is what I'm going to do, and which is what I will do. So also, I have a ward office, which you might be aware of, but don't expect me to sit in the ward office all day, because a ward is managed by being on the ground. I cannot sit in an office all day. It's not viable for an office, for a ward to do that. So if you want to see me, call me. We will make a plan, but yeah, I will probably not be at the office all the time. One of the important things that I've learned from my dad, which I think is really valuable in this specific situation, is to not brake while you're in a turn. You have to go into the turn at the right speed, because it's dangerous to brake in a turn. So when coming into this ward, I know there are a lot of challenges. I know there are a lot of issues. I know there are a lot of people that are very concerned about me and my capabilities. But I'm going to take that advice of my dad and not brake in a turn. I'm going to go in at the right speed, which means I'm not rushing, I'm not pushing, I'm getting the structures into place. So in that regard, I would like you to bear with me and just have a little bit of patience with me, because I'm getting those structures in place. I'm in the process of appointing a ward assistant, for example. I'm in the process of getting all these communication networks going. So I don't want to do it too fast, because it needs to be done right. Okay, the service request process. Derek previously said that people call him because there's a fire at his house, and then he says, I'm not the councillor. Okay, service request process is a bit of an issue, because, as you said, 17,000 people just in Bothasig. The ward consists of Edgemead, De Zicht, Richwood, Burgundy as well. I am physically unable to log everyone's service requests. It is just not possible. I will spend all my time just logging service requests. And there are much more important work that needs to be done apart from that. So I am going to start a process where I'm going to do public meetings and things like this, virtual, online, where I'm going to go through the process of how it works, how the city does it, how residents can help me help them. Because to streamline that process, everyone gets happier so much faster. And on that, I know the parks are not mowed. I know it looks terrible. I'm extremely frustrated. I am running away from the snakes in my own ward where I live. It is extremely frustrating, and I understand the frustration, and I understand how bad it is, and I have no excuse. I have absolutely no excuse. All I can say is I'm sorry. They are busy, and it's not even my fault, but they are busy mowing, but they have a huge backlog now because of a contract a tender that was appealed. So just a little bit about that process. In a contract process, a tender gets put out by the city. If any one of the companies that applied for the tender does not get the tender, that company is allowed to appeal the process. The moment the process goes into appeal, nothing is allowed to happen. And unfortunately, that's what happened here. There's an appeal process happening, and therefore we don't have a tender, we don't have a contractor. It's extremely frustrating, but it's the law. It's national law. We have to have the appeals process. So, but they have started a contingency plan, and I am in the process of checking the RFQs. I haven't been able to work through the document where community-based organizations can apply, and then they can get small tenders to do these type of small work as well, which will also help a lot. Bothasig Hall, I went to see the principal. I planted 4 trees with, at the school. But yes, I have already sent 3 emails to the Western Cape Education Department because I completely agree. It can't happen like that. The planning, yeah. I have no excuse, but there wasn't any planning, I think, because how can you have a school without electricity, without water, and without the traffic being organized? So that is my priority list, definitely. I got a lot of criticism about honesty, because these came from my own colleagues as well. I'm very honest, which sometimes is not a good thing. It's a curse and a blessing. In Derek's interview, for example, I said that I studied a lot of different things and I didn't finish a lot of them, which is true, but no one knew why I didn't finish them. And no one knew how many things I actually finished. So just in that regard, if you don't know what I meant, just ask. Because I am very honest and I am very straightforward, and I don't always do the politically correct thing, if that's the way to say it. Someone told me one day that I'm at one point going to need lots of protection because I say it exactly as it is, which is not always a good thing. Invite me. Please invite me to any things you've got. If it's a school fete, if it's a church thing, if it's a soup kitchen, anything that is happening. I won't be able to attend everything. It's physically impossible to attend everything. My diary looks like a really badly managed refugee camp already, but I will definitely try to attend as I can, and I will try to distribute my attendance throughout the ward so that I'm visible wherever people need me. Then I really would like to welcome, I wouldn't call you my opponent anymore. I would really like to welcome Karen Verschoor at the meeting. I'm very happy that you are here, and I would want to publicly say that I want to work with you. It is true, like I said, I'm honest. I haven't lived in the ward. I haven't been in the ward. I have been placed in the ward. So yes, I know how to be a ward councillor. I know how to do the job. I always say, if you're an engineer, whether you're an engineer at Sasol or at wherever, you're still an engineer. So I know how to do the job. But yes, I don't know the ward. I don't know the community. I know how the city works and all of that, but I do not know the community. And for that, I need you. And you have done a lot. You are still doing a lot. You are busy here. So I want to really work with you on top of everyone else in the community, because I can't do it without you. I'm just one person, so there's no way that I can do it on my own. Also, James Force is still allocated. It was one of my prerequisites that he has to be here with me. So he is still allocated with me in the ward, which I'm very happy about because he's got an absolute treasure chest of knowledge, and he knows everyone and he knows the ward. So I am pushing, I'm pressing his buttons all the time to assist me, and I think that's also a good thing for this ward. I think we will do well together. On Monday, we were in a budget and IDP workshop where I can just say that the 3 things that came up most across all the wards in Cape Town. Traffic and law enforcement, parks and mowing, and the other one was infrastructure, water infrastructure, electricity infrastructure, which is not so much in this ward a problem, but traffic and law enforcement and parks definitely. So, and this is the good news part of it. This ward has more than 100 parks. You are very, very, very privileged. You have more than 100 parks. In the discussions that we had, my colleagues would sit there and they would say, I want parks because I have no parks. I want community halls because I have no community halls. I want libraries because I have no libraries. There are literally wards that have no sporting facilities, no community halls, no libraries, none of those things. Here we have 2 libraries, we have I don't even know how many community halls, we have over 100 parks, sport complexes. We are very, very, very privileged in this ward with the amount of facilities that we have. And yes, we need to look after them, and yes, the city sometimes misses the ball, but I promise you, and like I said before, I don't make promises, but I promise you that together we can do more. Thank you so much. Probably not.
Gentleman over here.
Yes, sir. Oh, running mic.
These things work. I'm Alvin Wood. I stay at 31 Roosevelt Street here in Bothasig. We're one of the parks that Debbie did. It looks very nice. You have mentioned about the grass, I understand that. But the problem we're having now, on the N7 side, we put spikes on. They're breaking it from the N7 side. I don't know who can handle that, please. And then the second question I would like to know, you did mention it. How long does it take to get a traffic cop at these schools? Because it's chaos at the Bosmansdam school every morning. They just make a U-turn in front of you. It doesn't care who you are. 3 cars parking in. I mean, the other day, there were 8 traffic cops sitting at Bothasig Watermiller School. Why can't they be spread around at all the schools? I mean, they patrol here. Thank you.
Sorry, I just want to make sure your question was about the fence. Yes.
They raised the wall with their own funds.
Yes. Yes.
So just to give you a background.
But yeah, please.
So Roosevelt Park was an entry point for people to jump over from the N7 into Bothasig and like burgle houses and things.
Yes.
So how many people signed the petition? 150 people, whatever. Oh, okay, let me. Sorry. So what happened was the residents made it a petition of it was 150 people, say. I took the petition to Helen Carstens, and the petition asked that the city raise the wall by 2 slabs. It was rejected. She said she can't help, but she'll support it if the residents raise their own money. She'll support them raising the wall. So that's what happened in the end. I told her, look, it's a bad thing that you're not willing to help, but anyway. So then money was raised. Half the money was raised. Should I mention it, Graham? Half the money was raised for the wall, and Graham Kaplan matched the balance. So private citizens raised the money, and the wall was raised, and I think it was a donation of the spikes. So the wall was raised by 2 slabs and spikes put on, and that kind of more or less cut off that entry point, so people can't jump over anymore. So the crime level in that whole area dropped dramatically. So I think what he's saying now is that they're trying to lever those spikes off from the up, because that's the side people were jumping over from. Yes. Mm. Yeah, so that's Parks. Parks said they won't raise the wall, and there was no funds available from any other source, so the residents have paid for that. But now they're trying to take the spikes off so they can jump over the wall again. So yeah, the problem is the N7 has always been a problem. That's where people are getting over, burglarizing, chucking the stuff over the wall and escaping across the road again.
Okay, yes. I will have to look into that because I'm not exactly sure what the process is or where. Yeah, yeah.
Province is responsible for the sides of the road.
Yes, yes.
But Parks is responsible for the wall.
Yes. And then with regards to traffic, I've made the phenomenal discovery that there is a specific email that I can send to a specific email address to get people to places. Whether it's going to work is yet to be seen, but what I want you to do is every time you get into a situation like that, please send me a message with the address where you are, and even if you can take pictures or what is being, what's happening, send that to me, because then I can send it to traffic. I've actually done it with this intersection, this Bosmansdam-Vryburger intersection, because of the peak hour disaster in the morning where people turn out of the straight lane. And I actually got a response. I actually said, as I said, they will look into it. So if you see traffic officers on this intersection in peak hour, please let me know, because then they're there. If you don't, then I will have to follow up with them and check that they're actually doing that. But if you see anything like that, please send it to me so that I can forward it to them. Because yes, they have to. It is not, they can't have 8 vans at one school and all the other schools. I mean, it's silly. So I will definitely look into that.
Now that the parks has got, there's hardly any grass. So when the people come to mow, they don't mow grass, they mow the sand. And the people come and they complain to you to say that the sand is clogging up their pools. So we have if they look at the park, you can see there's grass to mow or there's sand to mow. I mean, what are you going to do then? Thank you.
Come on, what's your solution?
Okay, with regards to that, again, if you see that happening, the only way that I can send it through to them is if you send it to me. So I will send it through to them, and in this specific case, I will send it straight to the top, because that's a bit silly. I got a complaint, I think about 3 days or 4 days ago, about workers that were cleaning passageways and they were sleeping. They were sleeping in the passageways, but you could see the whole passageway was still dirty. They haven't cleaned it yet. And I immediately sent the pictures straight to the top. I didn't even bother with sub-council. Straight to the directorate. So, because that is just silly. I mean, if you are a person mowing, then you must know that you can't mow the sand. And with regards to there being sand, I am going to do an investigation of the 99 parks in this ward. It might take me my full term, but where I'm going to check the viability of grass in the parks. Because we all know there's a problem with moles and there's a problem with grass not growing unless you water it a lot. So one has to check the economic viability of the water being used to keep the grass growing, or if there's another method that we can use to make the park look nice and still people want to go there, but maybe not grass as such. So I am looking into that. It's on my list. Oh wow, that
Hello. Can you hear me?
There we go.
Okay. Good evening, Councillor. I'm Clinton, America. Well, I came here with the intention of biting your head off this evening, but it was your birthday yesterday, so I'll let you off.
You can bite it off next week.
Okay, so I have two issues I want to raise. The first one being, or at least can I first just mention that I've heard what you said about the cutting of the grass, and you're well aware of it. The soccer field, the border of the soccer field is not maintained. Now, I've been to the groundsman of the soccer field inside. I've spoken to them. I've asked them why the border is not cut. There's photos. You can have a look at them. And they explained to me it's not their responsibility. It's not their duty. It's their parks. I need to speak to city parks. I've then phoned city parks, and I'm speaking for the last 2 years now. I've been in contact with them, trying to get the border of the soccer field mowed, have the Port Jackson trees, which are 3 meters tall, removed, because it's pushing the fence over now. And it looks a terrible sight. Like I said, there's the photos, you can see them. And I was told to speak to City Park. City Park says you need to speak to the groundsman of parks. So there's a fight between the two. It's kind of just passing the buck. It's not my responsibility. That's what I'm getting. That's the one issue, which I'm hoping you can sort that. I also just want to, my second point is to say thank you to you for Coenhoop Street. The rubble which was left after the water pipe burst, it was sorted out in 2 days after I spoke to you. So thank you very much about that. Again, when council came, the heap of rubble, stone and sand, they leveled it basically. On that ground, they leveled it. So now we have the school kids using Coenhoop Street, the roadway in which to walk. We have pedestrians using the roadway because you cannot walk on that pavement. There's the photos to see. We had a fatal accident last year on that very road. We lost 2 females in a head-on collision because there was a hole, a massive, when I say a hole, a pothole which was about 2 meters squared. I personally closed that hole thrice with sand and cement because I spoke to council, nothing was done. I logged 37 C3s, nothing was done. I've again logged C3s. I do have them with me if you'd like to see it. I've logged 18 this time to have that pathway made safe for the school kids to use or pedestrians to use because there is no walkway. The water pipe that burst, the council comes, they chuck sand and gravel and they leave it that way. If any roads, it fills our drains. The drains are blocked. When I say blocked, you can stand over that manhole, over the drain, the sand is covering the grid. So when it rains, water then just flows down the road. I've spoken to roads. I've asked them to come and retour that section a year and a half later. It's not happening. The council that came to close those holes from the burst pipe actually laughed at me when I said to them that it needs to be taught. He says, "Het gaan nie gebeur nie." I took photos of the gentleman that said it. I've got photos of the registration numbers. I can't post it because of the Poppy Act, but I do have it. I don't have him saying that, the recording of what they said, but that's the attitude. It won't be done. So it's one stretch of road which looks a sight, but yet what blows my mind is if you follow that same road, I don't know if you're familiar with Coenhoop, it's where the soccer field is. If you go just over the traffic light, it's Edgemead, Letchworth, which gets swept every single week. Every week. Without fail, where the palm trees are, it gets swept right up to where the bowls is. They do Thomas Bowler and what's the other main road? Thomas Bowler, Louis Tybal, gets swept every single week without fail. But they will not go 10 meters further and do Bothasig. Bothasig is always on the back burner. And I blame our previous councillor for that because she used to live in Edgemead. So I'm glad to see you here. I'm glad, and I can see there's going to be major changes. I can see it coming. I mean, alone with your attitude, when I phoned you, within 2 days, I struggled a year and a half to get those guys. You had them there in 2 days. And they done the job, so thank you very much. Let's see if it's going to
Okay. Thank you for that. It's my pleasure, but to be honest, you were just lucky. The one thing that I also need to explain is that we as councillors are also dependent on officials. And I'm not saying officials do a bad job. There are lots of officials that work really, really hard. I phoned an official at 4:15 last week Friday because the resident's water got cut off, which was not the resident's fault, and he had 3 small children and he was without water for 3 days. And it wasn't his fault, it was the city's fault. And his water was reinstated within an hour. So there are a lot of officials that do wonderful work, and there are, like in every organization, there are people that don't do what they're supposed to be doing. Unfortunately, as a councillor, I can also not, well, I can't shout at officials. I'm not allowed to. I will physically lose my job. I cannot shout at them. I cannot tell them what to do. I can't demand that they do something. It's a rule. So when something like that comes to me, I have to, like my one friend always says, you get much more done with honey than with vinegar. I have to really get the whole honey farm, because I cannot shout at them. And trust me, there are days that I want to. This photograph, James and I drove past the soccer field when we were campaigning, and we stopped. I can show you on my phone. We took pictures of this and we sent it through, because we said, why is this looking like this? Why is it still looking like this? There were pictures that we took from the soccer field where they mowed one piece of the side and the other piece they didn't. They stopped halfway. It was on election day. I was standing outside looking at this. See, these things, the best I can do is I can escalate it, and I can keep escalating it, and I can be quite irritating. And I think that's why they sometimes, make it happen, just to get me to shut up, because I don't stop. But that's the best I can do. And that is all I can promise, unfortunately. In Richwood, for example, to tell you another story, there's an alarm that's going off at a pump station. 2 o'clock in the morning, when load shedding happens, the alarm goes off, and then it keeps going for hours. So I can completely understand those people's frustration. I mean, I would be an absolute screaming banshee if that happened to me. But I can't do anything. I said to the one resident at one point, I can get my husband's side cutters and I can go cut the alarm wires, but then you're going to have another by-election in 2 weeks, because I'm not allowed to do that. It's vandalizing of city property. So unfortunately, I can't. I have to go through the process as well. And I wish I had, but I don't have a magic wand. So the only thing I can say is just keep sending it to me, and I will keep escalating it, and keep asking me what's the feedback, and if I have feedback, I will give it to you. But that's the best I can do. And yeah, in that regard, just I apologize. It's all I can do. I can just apologize and try to get better.
But maybe the next time you have coffee with James Boss or with mention it to them, because I'm sure you should get to them much more frequently than we do.
Oh no, I do. When I was driving with Jordan in the election campaign, we went over Bosmansdam Drive, and he said, "Oh, yay, they swept the streets today." And I said, "Yes, Jordan, go this way and go check what's going on there. Because there it's done, there it's not."
That's always been the frustration. The poor stepchild.
No, I will speak. Make no mistake, I will speak. And like I said, there are lots of emails and there are a lot of WhatsApps, but I will get to all of them. I will.
Another question?
Can you hear me? Is it on? Okay. My name is Kim. I'm a resident of Link Road. So we live right here. Okay. In May, Checkers 60 Minutes started. Carmen over here lives on the corner, sort of directly behind the shopping center. She went the other day. I didn't know. She went, I also went. They do, on average, 250 deliveries a day. That is their basic, you know what I mean, most days. They said they go up to about 350, 400 on the busy days. Those bikes go past a house and they come back past a house. So say 10% of them might go Link Road way. The rest of the time they're coming past our places. That is 450 to 500 times a day that those bikes are coming past our house. There's a 4-way stop. Well, it's a 3-way and then slightly this direction, there's the 4th stop street. They do not stop. They slow down, they do not come to a standstill, and they go straight through. There's about, how many cars? There's about 6, 7, 8 cars as well. If you're going too slow, they will pass you on the opposite side of the road. I live on the bend. To indicate to turn into my driveway, they've overtaken me on the right-hand side. We've gone to the manager. There's a male manager there. His attitude, it's not his problem. We've written emails to Checkers head office. Nobody comes back to you. Carmen's got a petition. Nobody's interested in our problems. You know, so where do we go from here? Somebody's going to be knocked over. There was a slight ding. The manager, he turned around and said it was the other person's fault. The speed bumps, they figured out if they go on the opposite side of the road in the pavement, by the pavement, they miss the speed bumps. They've also, when they pass each other, they have to hoot. They're very friendly. They hoot at each other. Carmen is a beautician. She does clients at home. She's on medication to calm her nerves because she feels she wants to go off her head. You know, it's terrible. So now, yeah. And then, Checkers are not interested. It's not their problem. We asking why can they not go into Tafelberg Street and come out onto Vryburger Avenue? Others, yeah, they're operating from the back. And then it's fantastic, we got food lovers, but during the tea time and the lunch time, some of the workers are laying on the grass in Link Road. And their legs are out in the road, and as it is, it seems that the road is narrow. So you've got the scooters coming from one side, and we've got now trucks that are actually going into Leonardo Village, doing U-turns and reversing. There's the gentleman that lives there, he's got footage, he's got cameras up, they can show how the trucks are going in there. You know, originally, I think there was a 5-ton sign that was on the corner. It's gone. We do understand, but at the same time, we got buses, big trucks coming down Link Road. Was the road made for that type of traffic?
Yeah, my answer is the same as to the gentleman with regards to traffic. So I can unfortunately not tell checkers where they must go. But what I can do is I can try to get traffic services to put someone there, or even law enforcement. Law enforcement can't do anything, but their presence might make them behave properly. But I can get traffic services maybe to be there to do punitive measures to against them to make this not happen, and then maybe with that we can force them to use another route. Yeah. So what I can ask of you is, if you want my card, I can give that to you. Then you can just send me an email with the exact, and if you have pictures, brilliant, and what they do. And then the same with the buses and the trucks. I have started building a relationship with food lovers. So with regards to their workers and the buses and the trucks, I can discuss it with them to see if we can organize something in that regard.
The taxis that pick them up after work and the private cars that also pick up the workers after work block Link Road completely. You know, there must be some type of, maybe the taxis and the cars that pick up the workers could actually go into the shopping, into the parking area and use it instead of blocking the whole road that nobody can come past. The trucks that do deliveries, they park in such a way that you can't even get past. You know, and yes, it's moaning and groaning about nothing, but at the same time, if you want to get home and you can't get home, that you need to reverse out of Link Road and go right the way around. It's not right.
No, definitely send me all that information, and then I'll definitely check with food lovers and with traffic.
Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
Fine.
Good. My name is Dayan. I don't have a question. I'm basically asking you for assistance. The Muslim community in Bothasig has been forgotten since 1995. Okay? We've been advocating and wanting to place a mosque in the area that we live currently. At the moment, what I need to do to do my daily prayers or my Friday prayers, I need to leave my area to pray. And I think we've passed that stage now where people are scared to have the Muslims amongst us, all right, amongst you. And I just want to ask you, the previous councillors, as I've heard, has showed us the hand. So as a Muslim person, I'm asking you if you would assist us. As a Muslim community in Bothasig, we are growing definitely in this area. So all I'm asking from the Muslim community, if you will assist us in some way that we can also have a place of worship in Bothasig.
Hi, Dayan. Just correct me if I'm wrong, but James told me that there is a mosque here.
Converted houses, 2 private houses on the main road.
Okay.
That they're using.
Okay. Okay, so it's not dignified. Okay, well, we will have to have a meeting because that's a big discussion. Even though I would really love to, I can't just put a mosque in the in the ward. But yeah, we have to, and I don't think that will just be an email. I think you need to tell me when you're available, and then we can discuss that. Okay.
Okay, Derek, as you're well aware of, we've got a lot of SASA pensioners in the ward here. Richwood, even Edgemead, Bothasig. So what is the possibility that we can ask if there is maybe in the future, near future, I might be dead by then, but for
old age home, a dementia home, what is the other word? Alzheimer home, because we had kids crying on my front stoop looking for affordable dementia homes for their parents. They can't handle them. And it is really, really, that is a problem with our SASSA pensioners. They only get a SASSA. The kids are working, one is working, maybe two, but they haven't got the funding to put their parents in a caring facility that can be looked after. So I know it won't be a tomorrow thing, but in future, whatever, please.
You know the problem. The problem is we had Kinder, which then became Bothasig Gardens, and has now allowed everyone to come in, which means that as attrition happens and people, pass on, that position or place that they have is then taken over by families. Yes. So you're not allowing, or we're not having a growing group of old age facilities for people.
That. So basically,
they've axed it. Communicate, right. But the problem is that there are people living there who are on their way out, and they will not, those houses will be given to other families. So the problem does exist, that we need a space, a concentrated space, like I think it's Farmers Field, am I correct, in Edgemead? But we need a space where we can have elderly people with special needs being assisted.
And also job creations at the same time. So, please.
I've had this problem already. I've spoken to, Bonzi Madikazela, Bongi. I've had Fritz before he passed on, but not passed on. Fritz, what's his name?
Albert Fritz.
Albert Fritz. We've had him because he was community housing as well. We've had meetings at that place, and it doesn't seem to be, you get to a certain spot and it just stops.
Thank you, Joanna and Maureen. I am going to look into Communicare and Bothasig Gardens, because I have had a lot of people asking me how it works, how the placement works, what's going on. As far as I know, the city doesn't have power over it, but I do. Hey? Yes. Yeah, but I need to find out exactly how it works, because it's still in the ward. So it still needs to, be working for the ward. And and with regards to the old age facility, same thing as what I said to Dayon. I only get R1 million worth of ward allocations per year. So, and unfortunately, I've inherited projects now. So all my projects for 23-24 has already been established. So I am going to look at them and try to see what I can change, if I can change something. But it's only possible probably to do something at the next financial year. And then obviously we will have to have a lot of public participation, because it's about what the whole community want. But it's definitely something that can be on the needs assessment, so that we can look at it further. Okay. And I need to come and visit you again.
Okay, so two more questions. Oh, there's a lady there, and then this lady over here.
Hi. In 1991, here's a letter from Kent Durr stating that Bothasig was for retirement. There's a letter here. That was allocated for the elderly. Where are the elderly?
Yeah.
Where are the elderly? They've been chucked out. There are elderly women and men walking around Bothasig, living in their cars, living in garages. When that was allocated, I've got the letter here. 1991.
But
this lady, she's been waiting. Okay, question over here. We got to stop. We're going to have load shedding just now. We don't record in the dark. Yeah.
Thank you. My name's Arlene. I just wanted to add to the link road, and I've been up and down there quite a lot because I've got elderly parents that live around the corner, and I've been struggling to get through there because people park on either side of the road, and they will continue parking there because there's not a red line or anything like that. So they are able to park there if you could just put a red line, and then people can get past. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so yeah, let me just. I just want to, before I forget. The switching on of the Christmas lights is going to be at the police station on the 3rd of December. The famous switching on of the Christmas lights that has a fantastic turnout. And we'll probably be having boerewors rolls, hamburgers, pots of curry. I cooked a pot of curry there a couple of years ago that sold out in about 2 hours. So just a reminder while we're thinking about it that that's happening. Yeah, we'll put that. Yeah, we'll put that up. Okay, so I think that sort of winds things up for us. So thank you everybody for turning out. It always warms the heart that people come. You can imagine, we put the seats out, we hope people come. Imagine if 10 people come, I'd be very depressed. So thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for our guy from the road, what was he? Never came. They were scared. So that's it from us. Thank you very much. If anybody wants to get, how many cards did you bring with you? If you want to get a card from the councillor, please don't be shy to come and ask for one. Okay, so thanks a lot, everybody.